Do a recap of the transfer window now, and we'll quickly talk about your thoughts on the transfer window. So the first person I want to talk about, and I've saved for you, is someone that's going to Tottenham. I love always talking about Tottenham because they're like the little brother that always tries to take on the big brother, but continuously fail. And it gives me a great joy as an Arsenal fan to say that. So Alex, if you're ever listening to this, that was for you. Musa Sissoko, £30 million.
Yeah.
What has gone on here?
Well, they've overpaid. It's as simple as that. And look, he's going
to be he's 7 million in fantasy. Is he a buy candidate?
I wouldn't look. He's a bit like a sort of Sadio Mane, Liverpool guy. He's
less attacking though.
Yeah, less attacking, but kind of pacey.
Yeah, definitely.
Takes people on. I think. Will he play wide? I don't.
Well, with Lamela, Ericsson, Dele Alli, they already had a little bit of depth in there, which was reasonable. And they all give you attacking return, so he's expected to play in the double pivot next to a central midfielder. Now the moment I heard that, I crossed him up.
Yeah.
He might give you a goal every now and then using his pace and all of that, but I think at 7 million,
I wouldn't be bringing him in.
Even if they have a really good schedule and they're playing relegated teams that are in the relegation zone, I'm staying away. It's as simple as that. And it's nothing to do with Tottenham. It's just, well, it is, but I don't think he's worth the money.
No. Look, I'd like to see that again. Wait and see kind of mode on him. I'd like to see what sort of role he plays because he's somewhat flexible of in a sense of where he can play. And I just want to see where he will be playing and what sort of influence he'll have on the game. But at 30 million real dollars, that's a massive overpay for mine, and I won't be bringing him into my fantasy team, at least for the first couple of weeks until I can work out, is he going to be a regular, and where in that lineup he's going to
I think for me, he's just not going to go on the team. Not at that price. I just don't think he can give you enough protection.
There's far better options at similar prices, or even just a bit more, the 7.5s. I'd wait and see on him.
Here's another midfield candidate who I think would be much better. Jack Wilshere. He's gone to loan on Bournemouth, which was interesting because obviously Arsenal had depth, and I was saying why did they buy another midfielder before but now they have brought in a striker and defender. But let's talk about Jack Wilshere. Is this rock bottom?
Well,
the great Xavi had called him the big hope for English football.
Yeah, well, he was the next big thing. He was playing Champions League football as a teenager and dominating performances at the time. So
yeah, he had an amazing performance against Barcelona as a 19-year-old. So.
Yeah. Look, I think
he's still young. He's 24.
That's right. I think it's a good move for him. To be perfectly honest, I think it's a good move for Bournemouth. He's as injury prone as anyone in the Premier League.
Without a doubt.
So if he can stay healthy and fight for a regular place, which he should be able to get at Bournemouth, then I think he's a good get. And I think they're an underrated sort of side now. Bournemouth, they haven't started that well. They've been a little bit disappointing, but I think he's a good signing, and I think he's someone, if you are using a wild card or you are looking for like a cheaper midfield alternative, he might be a great sort of option at the price. I think he's good value, let me put it that way.
I think, I agree with you. I think I might wait a couple of games, see how it's going. Particularly, I want to know if he's playing a deeper role, or will this be an opportunity for him to finally, play behind Callum Wilson. He can just be like the number 10.
Yeah.
And we'll give him a chance to taking returns. He's scored a few good goals. He's not shy in front of goal either.
Yeah.
He's got the potential. I firmly believe he could make a difference. I think he will make a difference in that club. He's too good a player to be playing for Bournemouth. I think the most critical thing for him is his health, which would obviously have a direct impact on his fantasy performance.
I'm intrigued to see how he what his move to Bournemouth means for other players at Bournemouth. Is that going to lead to some, better performances? Having him in the midfield might prove to be pretty good for some others.
Yeah, I mean, if there's some creativity, there's an extra couple of goals. Callum Wilson last season was a cheapy striker. Unfortunately, he got injured very early on in the piece, and he had scored a few goals. He was giving a good return. So is that going to do that? Well, it remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But I'm more sold on Wilshere than Sissoko.
Especially at about the same price, right? Or I think was Wilshere 6.9 or something like that. Yeah.
Wilshere's cheaper.
He'd just gone down, I think, because obviously at Arsenal he wasn't playing. I'd be wanting to know a bit more about his health, because I think there were questions with like his status during the move. I don't think he's 100%.
Well, yeah, I think he was getting ready for it, so you obviously have to pass the medical.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. I really hope, as an Arsenal fan, he does recover and comes back and has a good season at Arsenal next year. So move on to the champions. They've made a splash, which is really good to see when a small club wins and they're actually spending money. Unlike my Arsenal, these guys they've splashed. So they've gone and thrown 29.7 million pounds at Islam Soleimani.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, maybe they're going for the Algerian connect. Mahrez and him, perhaps they obviously know each other. They've added depth, and that move clearly shows that they've added depth. They're thinking about the Champions League. Last season, Vardy just kept going on, and he was a machine, and he kept going. He's had the cast in his hand, and he's kept going. Mind you, he does have the longest broken hand ever because he's still wearing it. Yeah. And they already had signed Musa, who I thought was doing. He hadn't given big returns, but I saw him play, and I was like, this guy's good. So now they've got depth for Champions League as well. So he's 8.5 million. What are your thoughts on that?
Depth is a good thing if you're a Leicester fan. It's a bad thing if you're a fantasy football manager wanting a Leicester player. Look, he scored 27 goals in the Portuguese league last season. Knows how to score a goal.
Definitely.
Big leap to go from that into the probably more physical aspect of the English Premier League. I don't know if they'll change much in terms of a formation. Like, are they going to play him and Vardy together? Again, I've probably said this a few times with a couple of these, but I want to wait and see how he goes. At 8.5, that's pretty high. That's in the range.
Super expensive.
It's not super expensive, but there's far more options for mine. At cheaper amounts that I'd be going over him at 8.5 until I've had a look and I can sort of get a good range on where he is playing. Is it up alongside Vardy and how they sort of join together, and I guess go from there. But at 8.5, a little high for mine.
Yeah, well, I think he's someone you got to watch and see. He may come out the gates scoring goals. You never know these kind of things. Obviously. But the fact remains that Vardy is going to be the number one attacking option. Yeah. So if you do want those points, I know Vardy is more expensive, but after Vardy's goal last week, I think he'll be fine. He just had 2 off games. The way he scored the goal,
he was having chances anyway. In the other couple of games.
So I think if you're considering him, well, maybe look at Vardy first. Let's move on to a defender. We'll talk David Luiz. I don't even know what to say about him.
He thinks he's an attacking centre back.
After what happened to him in the World Cup, it's just I've sort of lost hope in him. Obviously, Chelsea sold him for 50 million, 55 odd million.
Buying back for 30?
34. So they've essentially just got rid of him. For 2 years.
They loaned him for 15 million.
Loaned him for free and got 15 million, and they didn't have to pay any salary. And now he's back.
Well, look, I think the biggest key of that move is the fact that if you, for whatever reason, were still, eyeing someone like John Terry, then you'd want to be moving on from that sort of mind frame pretty quickly. I think he's immediately replaces him.
He definitely gives attacking returns, doesn't he?
Well, yeah.
He does like to get up and attack a little too much at times.
He's one of those players, in my opinion, that's perfectly suited for fantasy football.
Definitely.
But not so suited.
As an actual manager, you'd scratch your head a lot.
Yeah.
In fantasy,
I think there might be a bit of, for a premier price, I think he's 6 million.
That's right.
So you are paying overs, but look, he's sort of willing to bomb forward at any notice. As I said, if you were his manager, that's a headache that you need to sort of go through in the real world sense. But for a fantasy manager, I think with a pretty good Chelsea lineup now, I think he might be a pickup. But I mean, it does depend who you've already got in the back line.
Of course.
Who are you replacing to get him?
But he would be. I think he's someone who can slot straight in, and he'd be a great addition.
And I mean, in terms of price, I think the price is fair. Like he would otherwise be a premier scoring defender, and you're paying that sort of price for him.
I completely agree. All right, so we'll move on to another striker. This guy was scoring. He used to score, and then he's been stashed at Man City, as Man City always does.
Yeah.
So Bonnie's gone to Stoke on a loan deal. Hey, 7.3 million in fantasy.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
I like it.
You like it?
As I said, he's someone that I'd be looking at over the new Leicester guy.
Definitely. I agree.
He's proven in the league, albeit hasn't played a hell of a lot since joining City. I really like the move for Stoke.
I think it's a great move for them.
Yeah, I'm almost be sort of all in. Like, he scored 17 goals in his first season with I think it was Swansea. Like, he's a proven goal scorer. With a team that, if they use him to his advantages and sort of build a system around him, that's when he's at his best. And he's one of those guys, and we'll probably touch on him shortly, like Benteke, who is one of those sort of mid-level guys, known quantities, can score goals in the league when clubs play around their strengths.
They can score.
That's
goals.
right.
Both of these guys have done it.
At
similar times.
Yeah, well, and I think they're both similarly priced as well. They go to the bigger club, they disappoint. Yeah. Well, probably don't play enough, to be fair.
Yeah, I think Benteke disappointed more so than Bonnie.
Yeah. Well, Bonnie just didn't have a chance, I don't think.
I like him, so if I had to get a Stoke player, I would definitely consider Bonnie.
Yeah, I mean, just for like a third string striker.
Yeah, at 7.3, he can give you a lot of points.
Yeah. No, I like the move on both for Stoke and a fantasy perspective. So
he'd be good
big there.
If you have Aguero and Zlatan and him. I think you're doing really good.
Yeah,
he's definitely someone who can do that. We'll talk about Benteke. We already know that it happened before the transfer.
Yeah, it did.
He's gone to the team that you've been talking up all season.
I look like an idiot.
Who incidentally, I believe, have got signed Matthew Flamini.
Yeah, right. Okay, I didn't actually see that.
So they've made moves, haven't they?
They've got a good team on paper.
They've made a lot of moves.
I like to think the signing of Benteke, albeit they paid a pretty good sum of money. As a Liverpool fan, I was pretty optimistic when we signed him, and I just think that he's one of those type of guys that you go to Liverpool, you're not going to have the system built to your strengths necessarily. It's like the team as a whole, whereas at Aston Villa, he had the whole entire system built to his strengths and he benefited from that. Definitely. Does that happen now? I've been talking them up and they've absolutely disappointed through the start of the season, but the Crystal Palace midfield, this is my last chance with them. I'm hoping that the signing of Benteke gives them that extra firepower up top to really start scoring some fantasy points. So I like the signing. If I'm looking for a striker around that price, I'd absolutely have him in my sort of thoughts. But I'm leaning more towards keeping the midfielders that I have from Crystal Palace and hoping that there's that sort of benefit through that. But look, if you don't have any Crystal Palace players, they still have a relatively light schedule, albeit they've had a light schedule from the start and they've disappointed. He might be a guy that could score goals. I mean, he's played for them already. The one, I guess, downside, he he got a penalty, but then wasn't the penalty taker.
Yeah, definitely.
And they missed the penalty. So
well, they could give him room there.
Well, is that just because it was his first week at the club? You don't want to rock the boat, I guess. If I saw him walk up, take the penalty, and score, I'd be all in on Benteke. That value of the penalty taking would be enough for me to make that move.
I think he'll have to build up his confidence a little bit as well as he moves and integrates himself in the new system.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we started off with Tottenham. Now I'm going to talk about Arsenal.
Sure.
Finish off with the 2 Arsenal signings, which I do like. I'll start off with Lucas Perez. So we've gone to the La Liga and brought our 2 players in. We paid 17.1 million from Deportivo.
Yeah.
He's 8.5 million.
Mm.
He's known to score goals.
Mm-hmm.
He did score 79 goals last season. All that was in the Spanish league. What are your thoughts on him?
Look, I just don't. I another sort of higher price player at that sort of price mark. I just don't know where he fits. I don't know who I feel like he might be someone that can take a little bit of time away from the wingers that sort of go forward, rather than Giroud, who is probably still the primary middleman up front.
Without a doubt. I think at this stage it is, but sometimes Giroud has performances where he wants someone else to be like, you take a step back, I'll show you how it's done.
Yeah.
He does go through those phases. Giroud did score incidentally in the international break, but I do like him from more of a football perspective, where Arsenal have depth and all of that.
Yeah.
But I don't think. I really want to see how it starts, whether they go with 2 up front, because this player, he's a typical. He's not an out-and-out striker.
No.
So that's what he isn't. So he can play out in the wing, drift in, or he can just be in the middle. So there's a few things he can do. So it'll be interesting to see how they put him. There might be some rotation. We do have midfield depth as well. So they could leave him up for some rotation as well.
Yeah.
At times. I think he's a good signing, but in terms of fantasy, I'm not touching him.
Yeah, I'd be...
Unless he catches fire and just starts scoring, but I'm not touching
Another
him.
wait and see. I want to see his role. I want to see where he plays most of the time. I've just got a feeling that he's going to be sort of replacing like a Theo Walcott type and be sort of isolated maybe a little bit on the wing. And look, you can still score goals from there.
Definitely.
But I just think that there might be some better goal scoring options while we touched on a couple of them already at cheaper prices.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's not proven. I always tend to lean towards guys that have been there and done it in the Premier League.
I think at 8.5, it makes me more hesitant. If he had come in at 7.5, I'd be like, well, if he's starting, I'm definitely considering him.
Yeah, then it's worth a gamble.
Exactly. But then again, you do have money at 7.3, so that's also something to think about. The next one was our $35 million signing from Valencia, which Arsenal were doing. 2 weeks later, we're not. Now they are, and it's finally got finalised because there's a lot of. He's a solid defender. He's scored a few goals. He scored in the Euros. He's a big lad. He will have the physical presence that you need in the Premier League. Incidentally, he did vouch for Perez, because Perez scored 2 goals against him last season. So he did say he can score, and he knows what he's capable of. But I do like the defender. I think he's a bigger signing, especially with the injury crisis, because he's a bigger name at this point, unless Perez proves me wrong. But at 6 million, he wouldn't be my first choice Arsenal defender. If I were to buy an Arsenal defender, I'd go in on Hector Bellerin, who was my tip of the season last year. He's 6.5. I think the fact that he's super quick and he goes up and down the flanks, he can give you more assists. Obviously, Mustafi he does bring an aerial threat for corners, but he's obviously not going to score that often.
I think he has about a goal record of 1 in 10, which is pretty good for a defender.
That's right.
So look, I don't know a lot about him. I know he's been hyped.
He'll definitely be in the starting line.
Yeah. Well, he'll walk straight into that. But how he plays and how many points he gets on a fantasy perspective is another thing. I think Again, we'll touch on it. Arsenal schedule coming up is probably a perfect chance for him to really lock that position in and score some points. So I can be talked into it, but there's so many good defenders at 6 million. I probably lean towards seeing how he sort of fits into that. These new guys from other countries' leagues, I do tend to try and wait and see a little bit more on them than guys that have been in the Premier League a little bit longer.
Yeah,
so
I think the Premier League is a very difficult beast.
Yeah, I mean, some really, really good players have come across and failed to, fit in and that with a bit more physicality about the league. So, look, I've got no doubt that he'll be good. I just don't know what sort of level of, you're going to get at a fantasy point of view. And at 6 million, I can certainly be talked into it, but I just think that, as you touched on, there's probably two other Arsenal defenders that I'd be taking over him at the early stage right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Arsenal defenders are someone to consider, considering the fixtures coming up. Now that we covered the transfer market, let's quickly look at the market watch.